make that go away. Is everybody able to hear me tonight? How y'all doing? Ready to get that out of the way before we get started, and nobody can hear me. Yay! Okay, so I'd like to call to motion the start of the December 2020 ATC Board meeting. Before we can begin, unfortunately at this moment we do only have 4 board members present, so we do not meet our rules for quorum, which means that we, in order to do any business, we do have to have 5 of the 7 board members present. As for what our rules state, at this point, I do need to put forth a motion to recess the meeting for up to 30 minutes, so up till either 7 o'clock or one of the other 3 board members is able to get logged in, whichever comes first, and then we can get the ball rolling. Unfortunately, if one of the remaining 3 does not join the meeting, then we can't. We can go over things, but we can't do any motions, votes. We cannot conduct official business to that degree during the meeting without 5 people present. So at this point, yes, I'm going to put forth the motion to recess for up to 30 minutes, which would be 7 o'clock. Yes?
We're already past the 30-minute. We're already past
Oh, yeah.
6:30, so don't say 30 minutes.
Sorry.
It's recess
Quoting
until
the
7
rules,
o'clock.
yes, until 7 o'clock, or we get a 5th board member.
And I would second that motion.
Okay. So at this point, just because I'm gonna kill the video feed for the moment.
I'm sorry. If we have a motion, shouldn't we vote, or is that not necessary?
Yes, you're right.
You can vote if you don't have quorum.
But
you can vote on one thing. The bylaws
yeah.
specify we can vote on this one motion.
Yeah, you are correct. So all in favor? Okay, all present. Thank you for catching that, Troy. That's for first time we've had to do it publicly. So
Dave.
Yeah.
No, that was Dave who caught it, not Troy.
Sorry, it's been a long day. My apologies. Okay, so since that's all right. So at this point, I'm gonna pause the video stream again. We're still gonna be here. We'll still be able to see the chat and stuff if anybody does have questions there. But otherwise, we will be back shortly. All right, everybody, we have returned. Hope you're all doing still alive out there. We haven't lost you in the void that is the internet. Alrighty. So we are.
Thanks, Troy. Oh, sorry. Thanks.
For what?
What'd you say?
I said for what?
For answering that email.
Oh, okay. That was minutes ago. I'd already forgotten.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Tristan. I shouldn't have. I didn't know you were speaking. I apologize.
Nope, it works. Is everybody still able to hear me?
Yes.
Well, I know you can. I just want to make sure the audience can still hear me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting.
It says YouTube is telling me the audio stream is getting 0, so I just want to make sure they can hear me and that it's not actually, the right thing.
Looks like they can hear you.
Okay, yay, there we go. Okay, so we've got Hotura here with us now. So that puts us at the 5 members. We need 4 quorum for the to continue with the meeting this evening, in order to be able to actually conduct business. So first thing on the agenda, as always, just recap any off-cycle board actions or votes. Unless there's stuff that I didn't see, I don't believe there's anything on that item. Second thing on the list for every meeting is the open session. We always reserve the first 30 minutes of each meeting in case anybody has anything they would like to bring up with the board, any questions they would like to ask, anything they would like to go over. We'll wait. Not sure how bad the lag is today, but we will hold on. Give folks a chance to.
We should announce that our bylaws passed in the off cycle. That wasn't an action or a vote by us. That was done by the membership, but the bylaws did pass. An announcement was made by Christina on 11/15 that it was 14 for and 2 against. So a total of 16 voting members voted on the bylaws.
Sorry, thank you for.
So we now have the new bylaws. They will be updated to the website soon.
Awesome. Thank you for catching that. I knew I was missing something. Yes. Did anybody have any questions about the bylaws updates, the vote, or anything else since the? A couple other people joining here in chat still, so give them a minute. So in response to your question, Emily, and they're gonna be loaded to the ATC website, and we can forward you a copy. A couple months back, we found out that there was a lot of conflicts, and a lot of things that needed to be updated in the bylaws. So a handful of the board members and some other folks, we got together and we spent the last several months doing a pretty in-depth overhaul of the existing bylaws to get them up to date with how the organization is, how things have been functioning for a while, and to eliminate a lot of loopholes in a lot of ways that we had caught ourselves in the wording of things, some clarifications, a lot of stuff like that. A couple weeks ago we held last month we had proposed the vote, and the vote was held just a couple weeks ago, virtually via email during the last staff meeting. and that on whether or not to put that the updated version of the bylaws that was being proposed into effect, and that did pass 14-2. Oh yeah, no, with the quiet right now, we're making sure to pause between stuff because we checked right now. We got about a 8 to 10 second delay between the live and what's getting seen on YouTube. So we always pause and just kind of give people a chance to hear the questions, actually type out their responses and stuff, um, and then going from there. So. Actually, Amy, since we did get quorum, we did start. We were able to start sooner than 7 p.m. So we haven't got very far. We're still in just the very first two parts of the open session. We haven't actually gotten to any of the updates or any of that stuff. So we're just getting the ball rolling. All right then. Looks like nobody else has anything else. Next thing on the list would be any equipment rentals and requests. There's not really been anything going on, so there hasn't been any of those. So we can roll right into the coordinator updates. First on.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, finally.
Wonderful.
Sorry.
No,
Okay,
that's fine.
continue.
Thank you. Oh, Emily said wait.
Hi, Emily.
While Emily's getting her question typed, I'm just going to go over the general what's on the agenda for tonight. So we've gone over our initial stuff, the open session, equipment rentals, updates, off-cycle, board actions and votes. Next on the list, as usual, would be our coordinator updates, which we'll get to once we've got through Emily's questions. Coordinator updates are from our various branch coordinators. And then the only other, then a 15-minute break if we need it, and then would be the updates on the current board projects, which tonight the only two on the list are proposal to record the board meetings and our proposal for a 5-year plan, which those will be the last two things on the docket for the evening. So yeah. Yes, thank you, Christina. We do have that there in the details of the YouTube video for those that are interested. If it scrolls by too fast, or if it's too a little confusing, it's right in there. So, all right. So then Emily says she doesn't really have a question, so we will roll on to the coordinator updates. Anime detour, that would be Troy.
As far as updates, there's Not a lot, though there's a lot in the works. We'll be meeting with our hotel partner either this week or next week to discuss going forward for 2021, whether it be a physical convention or virtual convention. We'll have that discussion with them first as our contracted partner before we release that information to staff and public. I don't know that we have any other real updates until that decision is made. I guess essentially, in the absence of any questions, I guess what we need from the board, since items have to be voted on, et cetera, in person at an official meeting, the January meeting would be later than we would like to make that decision. So I guess I would like to see if the board can grant the coordinator approval to cancel, however you want to word it, cancel Anime Detour or transition to a virtual convention if need be prior to that scheduled January board meeting.
I have a question. Is that something that the board actually needs to vote on? Like, what triggered the board to have to vote that before? The board doesn't hold the contract.
Well, I guess it depends. It's as an agent of Anime Twin Cities. I don't know. That's how they did it last year. So
I'm not familiar with the logic that was used last year.
Last year, I think it was brought up because I know, or as more of a formality, just because it was such a big thing, first time happening. I mean, I don't.
If
At
we
this point,
have it in policy that we cannot dictate what the chairman does with Anime Detour, and we do not hold the contract, I do not see how or where we have the right to vote on it.
actually, we do. Actually, the policy states that we
Period.
cannot dictate what the coordinator or how the coordinator is to work with their staff.
What? No.
The policy that I proposed and passed a year and a half ago was targeted towards staff or a coordinator staff.
It's always been that the chairman, the coordinator of Anime Detour, determines how Detour runs, and in this case,
yes,
whether Detour runs. So I don't know what you're talking about, staff.
No, I was just clarifying on that particular policy, the wording.
Can I say something? Troy, are you asking for a vote of confidence that we support you in what decision you make? Because I'd gladly make a motion for that.
I mean, I guess essentially
that makes more sense to me.
I mean, however the board chooses to do it, just saying that as it happened last year, the board had to approve it before I was able to move forward with the cancellation. Though I guess the area of concern that I was looking at is if that were to still be the case, I may have needed that permission essentially ahead of time in the event that we needed to cancel between now and prior to the January board meeting, as we're not able to vote by email and things like that.
Okay.
So if the board does not need to vote, then I retract.
Dave?
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, not Chairman. Mr. President. What's his term? He's the chairman.
It'd be president or chairman, both work.
Mr. President, I like to motion that we give that the board would grant authority and confidence to Troy McDonald to make decisions in the best interest of the convention and of the corporation. So
I would
that would
second.
give him. What?
I would second
Sorry?
that.
I was just about to say I will second Dave's motion.
Okay.
All in favor? All right.
All right. Yeah, that's essentially where we're at until we have if we're able to move forward with a physical convention, we would be continuing along the same lines of planning as we'd normally seen. Transitioning to a virtual convention changes things. So we would be shifting to that track. So we have a staff meeting this coming weekend. Again, I don't expect to be able to have an answer that we can put out there publicly until we've notified and made our contracted hotel partner aware. So we would not want them to find out by way of a Facebook post. So
No, that would be bad.
yeah, so that's essentially we're working through them. Some of the members of the executive team, the director, and our contact at the Hyatt will get on a virtual meeting and see where we're at in terms of the contract and what sort of safety measures we would need to be in place. Just sort of investigating down all of those roads, find out what our best option is, and then as they will then be aware, then we'll be able to let the rest of our staff and community know.
Okay.
I just want to add in with the bylaw change, we do now have the ability, the treasurer and the president now have the ability to call a special meeting at any time. It still requires quorum, which means you have to have 5 voting board members at it. But you can call special meetings in the case of emergencies now. You do have that power with the new bylaws.
Okay. And then, sorry, were you done, Ashley?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Drew.
I was just adding that in because there was concern.
No, that's fine. And then Drew, as far as your comment, stating that there's nothing in the bylaws that require a resolution from the ATC board for the coordinator or chairperson to make decisions with regards to the operations of their club or division, you are correct. And it was specifically worded like that. I know in this situation regarding canceling, I know last year, and it's in my mind, I look at it, the bringing it up and getting the board's approval with it as more of a good faith that, publicly stating that we are backing the chairman in their, we have confidence and we will back them in their decision to make a decision of this scope. Troy?
Well, I think one of the other things, whether that's been changed through the change of the bylaws, et cetera, is I forget exactly how it was sort of unofficially worded, was if it had to do with sort of the long-term standing and or finances of ATC, when it would require a board vote. So in essence, extrapolating out from canceling leading to refunds, et cetera, could have a financial impact on things. So that was sort of the other thing too, but it's covered as that was, I think, some of what was leaned on previously.
Yeah, we've had these discussions several times over the last couple months in various capacities, and we're all kind of aware of what may happen if that does come to pass.
So Emily asks if we think we can have a con next year. Well, right now, under current restrictions, we can't. Unless there is a major change in the restrictions of no large gatherings over 250. That's not the only concern, but that's certainly one that we can't sidestep or get around. So unless something changes officially in that capacity, we cannot have an in-person convention. Additionally, we'd be looking at, safety measures that would need to be taken in order for us to be able to reasonably present or have attendees reasonably assume some sort of, not necessarily guarantee, but some guarantee of safety. If we're not able to provide that environment and or under these restrictions, then we cannot have a physical convention. So there's a number of different pieces that go into it. And then as well as the process of if we are, in order to cancel the convention, then that involves a process. Like I said, it's under contract, so that's why we would need to work with our hotel partners to see what we're able to do. It's essentially the same process with just much more lead in than we had last year. Last year we had 3 weeks before our convention date. We were made to cancel. We've had more time, but essentially not much has changed under those gathering restrictions. So right now, it's not something that we could guarantee reasonable safety of our staff, attendees, hotel staff, etc. But we have to have a rather in-depth and serious conversation with our hotel partners. So that's essentially where that lands. Yes, we would duly noted, Emily. But yeah, that's essentially the process. We have to work through that with our partners so that they're not taken unaware, and then we'll be able to let staff in the community know what our resolution is there. But unless there's any other questions on that, that's all I have.
Give me just a second, just answering a quick message. Okay. All right. So next one on the list. Actually, we'll go right down to Kim with finance.
Okay. So the I sent the financials out last night. Sorry they were so much later. But I don't think there's anything that should be of a big surprise. You would probably note that we had kind of a big jump in income, mostly because Christina Felice worked pretty hard on getting the refunds from Delta. So that came through. I was going to chat with her. I haven't heard anything about, we had a couple of flights through American Airlines, but I'm not sure how that's progressing, and I haven't checked in on it or anything, but I will try to do that. Outside of that, we did get a donation check from Lindsay Niketa's company, and then a couple of small monthly donation checks that we seem to get from somebody's work. I don't know who they are, but they're about $5 or $6 every few weeks that comes in. So
hey, it's nice.
that all came in. Yeah, it's kind of nice. As for expenses, I don't think there's anything that should come as a surprise. Maybe IT, there was some additional expense there this month because 4 of our domain names all renewed, and that's a $12 per domain. So that charge came through. And then as I had sent that email out probably late last month about the merchant account, that Wells Fargo will be discontinuing that as of tomorrow. So we should stop seeing that $45 fee come out of our Wells Fargo account on a monthly basis. I don't know if they'll charge us a pro rata fee for this short amount of time, but if they do, it won't be that high, obviously, and then it would end. And so in that same task, since we're not using the merchant account, I did cancel the A Secure Cart Net, since that hasn't been made in use. And so that saves not a lot of money, but it's a $16 charge per month. So that's already been canceled, and you don't see that on the expenses this month or going forward. So the current account balance in the checking account is $186,827.05. And then there has been no change in the education or the leg fund accounts from last month, because there is no money going into those at this time. So I can give you those amounts if you need them, but otherwise they should be the same exact amounts as they were last month. I don't expect them to change.
Okay.
I did reach out to the lady that's doing our 990 just to see how she was coming along on it. And I haven't heard back from her yet. So I'm assuming that she's working on them and she's moving along. I haven't had any questions from her. So it's not due until February. So I fully expect to receive it in far in enough amount of time for everybody to at least look at it, make sure all the names are correct and everything before it's due.
Okay.
Other than that, unless somebody has a question, I don't think I have anything else going on. Oh, and you might have noticed that we did receive our Amazon Smile. That was part of our income too. So even though maybe we're not making purchases, people in our organization are, because that was $88
Oh wow, because
from July through September.
yeah, isn't that like just like fractions of a purchase, like fractions of?
Yeah, it's like 0.5% or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So
That's
But it's
out there
Christmas shopping season.
must be shopping for Christmas.
Yep.
It's not
True.
even for Christmas.
All right. Who bought a car on Amazon?
I don't know, but $88 is pretty good for the third quarter of the year.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's one of the higher ones I've seen.
Yeah.
Let me check the chat, see if anybody's no new questions. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Kim. We'll go over to Dave. You got any updates for us for charities?
No, I'm preparing. As I said beforehand, I've been busy due to work stuff. However, I'm not quite satisfied with the ad of a charities coordinator advertisement. Like I said, everything else, they're not complete, but the procedures for both that I'm writing for both the leg fund and the loan policy, as we discussed last year, are not complete, but in progress. Here's the thing. I checked the notes. I can't find it. Mr. President, I said I would do something for you. You said you were going to do something. And I said, well, I'll do that for you. And I wrote it down, but I can't find the piece of paper I wrote it down on. Do you remember last month what I told you I would do for you? Please, for the love of God, tell me yes. Okay, so
according to the notes from last month, it says David will draft a policy about ATC not applying for loans, and then I put
That's what it
MN
was.
statute numbers in there
but there was
because
something.
you're going to look into them.
Was that it? Because I
think
have
so.
that. down.
I was gonna comment about that because yeah, we've talked about loans before, especially in regards to the leg fund, especially when we reworded the policies on the leg fund, as far as eligibility and stuff, and we made it very clear that across several board sessions that we're not we can't do loans.
So in other words, I imagined a third thing I needed to be doing, because I have the loans. I've been working on the loans, but I thought there was another thing. But if there's nothing else, well, then I'm just paranoid in my old age.
I will go over my
comments?
notes.
Comments on YouTube.
Hey, we're all a little paranoid. But no, I will go over my notes and let you know if I find anything. I don't. The only two things that I had popped up was I was gonna ask you if you were working on anything for the leg the like documentation for the leg fund, but you are, so cool. And
Yes.
then when you said something about loans, I was gonna toss in a comment, but you already got that, so
And,
cool.
And the charities coordinator. For some reason, I couldn't remember how to speak for a second.
Yeah. The wording on the presentation, or the blurb
Application.
for that. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Not seeing any other questions in chat. Any of the board members got any comments or questions about charities at the moment? Okay. I'm still overseeing communities, communications, and SOS. Communities and communications, we're kind of in, there's nothing going on. We can't hold any events or anything like that, so those have been in a holding pattern. And the same thing for SOS. The Discord chat is slowing down. There's not been too much going on in there. Obviously we can't hold any live events, so that as well at this moment is still kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for things to tick back up. So that's about all the updates we have for those 3 branches. I see a comment in the chat. If canceling again this year, how does that affect ATC finances for going forward with events in 2022 and beyond? Steve, that's kind of the question. We've been discussing that for the last couple of months, and we're going to be discussing that. I know we've been looking at alternate forms of income other than just the attendance sales for Anime Detour. We've been looking at grants as one of them. Any kind of any other assistance and donations, any additional reliable source of revenue that we can find that is not based on Anime Detour, just so we are a little bit more stable in the case of this happening, because we don't want the entire organization to rely on just one source of income. So I don't have a solid answer for you yet because we're still trying to figure that out. Give a minute or so just for people to with any.
Troy has his hand up too, Tristan.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the other window there. Sorry, Troy.
So, do we have some sort of relative idea? I mean, we know where we're at now. If we end up canceling, we know what we have for current registrations on the books. If we have to refund all or a portion of those, or however many are requested, as far as without any additional revenue streams as of yet, do we have an idea on what that leaves us looking like for 2022?
Kim, do you have the numbers on that? I know rough numbers off the top of my head, but
I haven't looked at anything regarding.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of roughly looked at numbers, but we didn't really want to go through all of that until a decision has been made and we know what the hotel's going to do, regarding that. So it's kind of like we could do a deep dive on it, but at the same time, so many things are up in the air. I don't know if there's really a point.
But at least do we have a dollar number of pending
bills,
memberships for 2021? Pending, how much money have we rolled over from memberships 2021, 2019 to 2020 to 2021?
The
I
number
know
that
that
was
changes
rolled
that
the
number
money in
somewhere.
Bank account is rollover money.
Okay, so
if we refunded every membership, that would leave us with 0, is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because some
Okay.
of them are 150, some are 45, some are 50, some are 60.
Oh, that's fine.
But we have a record of that.
2750. If you average it at $50 a person, well, that's 138,000. So that would leave 50.
Okay.
So at that point, our budget for 2022, again, at that point, not considering any additional income, would be $50,000.
Well, and probably not even that because we have to be
20.
able. I mean,
we
we have to be able to pay fees for ATC first. The insurance costs and stuff like that are not part of the detour expenses.
I'm trying to think of even how to word a question. So that's essentially what the numbers look like without any additional revenue considered. Now, I know that we normally have done projections each year. So I guess even if we were able to project positively some of that incoming registrations, et cetera, I guess I'm,
And
I
I
mean,
also,
go ahead.
I was just saying, I also feel like, we could probably, ask, can we roll these over again? And I'm sure at least some of them would be okay with that. So we're not necessarily looking at having to refund.
Well, and there's going to be
100%
a
of them.
few, probably not a lot, a handful of them that were donations
Mm-hmm.
and not rollovers.
Fair.
Are we as comfortable asking for people to roll over into 2022 if at that point we have $20,000 to put on a convention? So at that
As
point,
far
we're
as
not.
rollovers go, I think that would be your call, Troy.
And okay, yeah.
Well, I was just saying, if at that point, I mean, we had a concern this year because of the cancellation of 2021, leaving us less finances available for a physical convention for 2021. Now, with 2021 being our second year potentially of canceling, leaving us with even less money, I guess, how solid are our plans to, start bringing in that funding, since, well, sadly, Anime Detour wasn't really able to bring any in, other than what we may roll over on those registrations. I guess my concern is that we say the things that we are looking into doing, but I'm not confident that they might bear as much fruit as we think. And so if we start factoring those into the equation, it's not real dollars yet.
No, with the sorry. So as far as your comment of looking into things as what they're pulling in, I mean the majority of things, if at the best situation, grants when that time were to come that they would be rolling in, along with any other donations or other income that we've found. I mean, I'm not, from the numbers that I've been able to come together with, it's not something that's going to put on a convention to the scale that we have in the past. Not by a long shot. It is something that could keep ATC as an organization running. Our rentals, our insurance, our money needed to keep the organization going, but not to run an event that would keep us to the point that we were. Yes.
And I don't disagree with that. The one caveat that I would ask that we keep in mind is if we need to cancel 2022, and it's not COVID related, we will have cancellation penalties.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not sound like we have anywhere near the finances to bear the weight of that, which would bankrupt ATC. So that's for 2022.
Yeah.
As well as if we try to put on a convention because we're contractually obligated to in that event space, but we can't fill that event space, our attrition rate is 80%. So whether we fill that with actual bodies or we fill that with some combination of bodies, we have to pay the difference. So again, we're coming up into a lot of these crossroads that are starting to, behind door 1, 2, and 3, each one holds, significant financial payout. I guess that's my concern. I realize that is far, those dates are in the future. But I guess that's where my concern is. How we can expect to, to mitigate that. Again, not saying that, you guys have, exact answers now, but yeah, those are my concerns, is that moving to a virtual convention, again, causes that loss of income, which depletes what we have on the books for 2022. And we could find it difficult to put on a convention for the money that we are certain we will have available.
Well, I feel like we definitely need to have a deep discussion on numbers, but I also don't think we're prepared to have that discussion today. And it should also probably happen after your meeting with your hotel, with the hotel.
Because keep in mind, those numbers that we're stating right now are with zero, so far with not factoring in any cancellation penalties from the Hyatt. So
Right.
any additional penalties from the Hyatt exacerbate the situation.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of chat if anyone wants to address that.
Yeah, I was reading it to catch up. The budget, Emily, your question about what was the budget for Detroit 2020? I'd have to go back and look at the notes. I don't remember the exact off the top of my head, but believe it was around, what was it, 145, 150 ish, or 245, 250 ish. Sorry.
For the 2020 convention.
Oh, she said
240.
She said 2020. Sorry,
I guess it depends on what she means. I mean, the budget that was just approved was less than that, I believe. For the show we had intended to put on April 2020, I believe was 327 and change.
And then
that was the one we canceled with 3 weeks to go. So the budget that we just approved, I don't have the exact number.
245, 895.
Okay, so for the show that we were looking and hopefully wanted to put on physically in 2021 was 245, 45,000 and some change. So if all other things considered, without being able to factor in any sort of thing as far as the hotel contract, it sounds like factoring what we have, what it would cost if we actually had to refund everybody that currently has a rollover registration, and some other annual costs, it sounds we'd be around 20 or 30,000 before any additional revenue streams were looked at. Yeah, and I think that that's certainly a point of that's certainly part of the discussion is how to when we're confident which direction we're going in and we're able to make that announcement, we'll need to include in there obviously what we are looking for from our registrants. We're at a point where we had not opened Artist Alley or Exhibit Hall. So while those were part of the refund process for this year's show for 2020, those applications hadn't been accepted and we haven't received any monies for that for 2021. So we would be strictly dealing with our hotel partner and anybody who rolled over registration, as we had not yet opened registration for 2021. So I hope that addresses that question. We do know what the hotel is going to charge for the. Yeah, I mean, as Christina says, it's not really a question, but yes, it is listed in our contract. Canceling on or before what date equates to what amount of penalty. Doesn't mean there isn't flexibility there. That's why we'll have a conversation with our hotel partner. But yes, it is stipulated in the contract, depending on which part of the year you cancel, how soon before your show it is. I think that's all the questions. The only Christine had something about grants. Otherwise, I think I covered everything that was detour related in there. If I didn't, let me know. But
nope,
that's
fine. Yeah, I think you got everything that I saw. And
this isn't to make a bad situation worse. It's if we it is I don't know, the suboptimal at best for us to have had to if we have to cancel 2 shows. I mean, that's a significant portion of our income, and this isn't explaining it to the board. So it's to try and make sure that we know where we're at, so we know how to plan. That's all. It's not to try and make a bad situation worse or be overly pessimistic, but we'll do everything we can on our end to try and make things work and to find ways to make things work like we always have. But yeah, COVID's a whole bunch of bad names. So
Yeah, that it definitely is.
is that something that maybe we want to, is some portion of that something that we want to put on the board meeting agenda for January? If by then, I believe by then we will have had a determination. My intent is that we will more than have had a determination of physical versus virtual. So I don't know. I'll leave it up to the board. I'm not saying it has to be January. If that's something you guys would like to be discussed in January and how we on how that affects our future. But
Like a
I
deep
can have
dive into
that,
the financial situation.
yeah, I mean, I can have that discussion at any time. It doesn't have to be January, but
Do you think that's something you might be able to be prepared for, Kim, by then, or
I will actually not be in attendance at the January meeting. I have
Okay.
a commitment already for that night.
Nope, that's fine. So then we might probably, would you be able to make the February meeting then?
Yeah, I will be around
Okay.
in February.
Yeah. So then we're gonna want. So then, do we want to put that on the schedule for the February meeting then? I would
I
definitely
feel
rather
like-
have Kim there for that discussion.
oh yeah.
All right, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it.
All right. Sorry, I'm just waiting to see if anybody else has any other questions or anything in chat. I don't want to. I know it's a touchy subject, but don't want to seem like I'm trying to rush on and onto the next subject and just leave it. All right, then I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. So thank you guys for bringing that up. I know it's not the best thing to discuss, but we're gonna have to bite the bullet and have some tougher discussions here sooner or later. So the last things on the list are the recording of the board projects. The first thing on the list was my proposal from last year that's kind of been moved down the road due to our change in the bylaws, or waiting for the bylaws to be completed. Was the 5-year plan. At this point, with how we're sitting, with the potential of canceling Detour 2021, I'm just gonna completely pull it right now with how everything's sitting. It would have to be completely reworked anyways because it no longer fits with some of our bylaws and with how things are set up now anymore. So at this point, I'm just going to completely pull that off. And when we get to once we've had our discussion in February about the financial stuff, then we can come. Then I'm more than happy to come back and revisit it and see if that's something we can even kind of hold on to anymore.
You want me to put it out to like March or April, or just take it off? Or...
At this point, just completely take it off.
Okay.
It's like I said, whatever I had is gonna have to be completely scrapped and redone. And we're gonna have to wait till after February, after we've had that financial discussion to see, because whatever we decide or whatever we end up doing there would change it again, and it's I don't want to just keep kicking the can down the road. So at this point, I just want to just completely pull it, and we'll come back to it at a later date. If that's something we end up deciding to do.
Okay.
All right, and then the last thing on the docket was the proposal to record the board meetings. I know this has been on the list a handful of times over the years. It's been kicked around, but we do have a member that had we had a couple of people bring it up. So I'm going to share the document here. Someone else, give me just a second. Alrighty. Everybody able to see that? Let me miss. Wait. No. Okay, hold on. Stop presenting. We'll just do this. Bring you down, blow you up, and zoom in. All right, is everybody able to see that now?
No.
Yeah, I can see it on the YouTube chat, but you're not sharing it with
Yeah,
the meeting people. But I mean, technically everyone in the meeting should have it in their email if they want to pull it up that way.
I have it.
I don't know.
I have it.
Yeah.
All right, so.
Well, now you're not sharing it with the YouTube chat anymore either.
It is. It just took a second.
Okay.
I was gonna. You were, yeah. Anyways, actually, we got. So I'm gonna read off the proposal just so everybody's aware, because I know not everybody on the chat is looking at the video. So the proposal to record Anime Twin Cities board meetings. So I propose that all public portions of future Anime Twin Cities board meetings be recorded. That these recordings be uploaded to a publicly available site of the board's choosing for access by any persons who wish to view them. In the past, we have told people to come to these meetings, that these meetings are open to the public. We have told them that we want to see them here so that they can they can see the process that goes into the organization's various events and planning. In the last few years, ATC has pushed more than ever to show a link between ATC and the various events and organizations it's part of. However, I have found that we do very little to assist in the transparency and sharing of this information beyond saying that if it's here, that it's here if you would like to come see it in person. By recording these meetings, this will provide access to the meeting so people who cannot make it for many reasons, ranging from physical disability, work, and just a lack of transport to and from the location the meetings are being held. Another thing to take into consideration is the size of the area in which we hold the meetings. It is not large, and I have seen it fill to a rather full point in the past. This would not only provide those people with easier access to these meetings, but the transparency and notoriety we have been calling for. Furthermore, since the COVID-19 outbreak, we have been holding our monthly meetings online to help prevent the spread of the virus. At the same time, we have been broadcasting these meetings on YouTube for anyone to watch, should they choose. By doing this, we have already seen an increase in people attending and watching these meetings, which has been one of our goals to become more transparent. I propose that all future ATC board meetings be recorded with our own equipment that we have on site, that this video be stored in a secure fashion in locations that the ATC board and limited personnel have access to these recordings, that this video be edited by a chosen member or members to remove certain private information to be chosen by the board. This video would then be posted to any or all of our various social media sites that would allow such content to include the ATC website. This video is to be posted no later than 1 week from the time of the meeting. A list of specific information to remove from all videos should be decided upon by the ATC board prior to the approval of this proposal. Additional items may also be included at the request of those present. I believe this list should include, but not be limited to, any non-public portions of the board meetings, such as closed sessions and emergency sessions, personal information such as address and financials of individuals discussed during the meetings, anything specifically requested by any person present to not have the information be public. So that is the proposed, or that is the proposal to record Animate Twin Cities board meetings that has been presented to us by John. It's in one of the board members. We have been sitting on that for a little while, waiting to see whether the changes to the bylaws.
Just to clarify, but the bullet points at the bottom are supposed to be segments that are excluded from public recordings, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then I do see Kevin's comment saying 1 week is a very short time to edit and review, and I would agree 1 week is unreasonable for a volunteer to do that.
Troy?
Just out of curiosity, just because I sort of remember the the genesis of this, is it possible that the 1 week stipulation was prior to having any sort of recording / live streaming of the board meetings, so that maybe that could be extended out now that they are live?
So a majority of this was taken from my prior 3 proposals to do this. John took upon it, built it, edited it to fit what he felt was needed, and that is something that I've had in there on each one. Editing out the video and the audio. When I sit down to do it, that's something I can do in about 15 minutes. I just need to find it, and that is something that can be quickly cut out and resaved. And I don't need to sit there and watch it resave the file. So that is something that could be done physically in a quick amount, in a fast time. The reason that I know when John and I were working on this that we had given it a week was so that the board meetings could be quickly, so that they could be up and quickly viewable by those that want the information, but that also so that we're not dragging our feet on getting it out.
So then, and forgive me if maybe it's just me confused. So we have a way that we're currently, you have the proposal, and then we have the way that we're currently doing things. Is there, it seems like there's differences between those, am I right? Like it seems like now we live stream these and then they're posted pretty much at the end of the meeting.
So once we end the live stream, yes, this is put up. That is one thing that actually I've been trying to keep an eye on, is to make sure that any information that we would not be including is discussed after the stream has ended, so that just because we can't go back and cut it out of these, the way we're doing it now. But yes, that if this were to be put in effect, yes, we would have to change it so that the live stream that we are currently having is not immediately loaded to our page. And at that point, the only big thing we would be losing is we would not have the live chat comments once we re-upload them.
Okay, I was just wanted to understand the difference. Thank you.
And yes, you are correct, Kevin, that it should be reviewed by several board members before it goes up. It should never be just a single person to review and post review, promise that it's done, and then put it up, just because that's that could be considered a security concern in that degree, just looking from the IT side of things. But I know in the past, one of the concerns that had been raised, that is the a board member should not be the one editing or reviewing these.
Yeah, I remember that being discussed before.
It was brought up that specifically having a board member reviewing or editing them could be seen as a conflict of interest.
Right, and I agree, but that was by one person. They're not
Yeah,
involved in the
yeah. No,
organization.
the
And
specific situation was that a board member reviewing them and editing them, that board member could cut out whatever they, if they said something stupid or that could get them in trouble, they could cut that out. And the same could be said for anyone, anyone that is part of the meeting that is, if the person who's doing the recording and the editing decides to partake in a meeting and says something stupid, then that same thing could be said of that situation.
I think that's a tough one to mitigate. I mean, if you find evidence of someone doing that, then there's a procedure to head down that road.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you probably won't be able to stop all potentials.
Yeah, and that's why I definitely agree with Kevin that it should be a multi-person process of review before it is posted. Dave, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Practicality wise, I understand we don't want a board member cutting out things he may have said stupidly, but how many coordinators do we have right now? Hi. Are we going to find a video staff that is not only diligent, but ready to do it within 2 weeks or a week or something? I mean, by saying a board member can't edit it because it could be something like that,
So
that's great, and that would be great. But we can't find people to do community. We can't find people to do charities.
So actually, Dave, that has been a question that has come up, and I've actually spoken with a number of tech and a couple other AD or ATC members about that in the past. And since this was coming up, I did check with a couple of them, and there are 4 people. If it is chosen that no board member should be touching these, there are 4 people who have said that they would be willing to at least look at it.
Great.
If not, do it.
Because I don't want to touch it.
Otherwise, we'll continue in a second, Troy. Otherwise, just to clarify for those that were not aware, when we were doing the recordings of the staff meetings, the recording and the editing and posting was all being done by myself. So that is something that is could easily educate people on, get them up to speed. Troy, and then I'll answer a couple of questions from the chat.
Well, I understand where some of the people are coming from. I guess, and forgive me, this is the issue that I have. It can't be so important that we have to do it going forward, but we're not doing it now. Either it's that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
If it's something so important and we're not doing it now and we haven't been doing it for months, not saying we shouldn't do it, but either it's something we have to do or it's something we don't have to do. And we have reasons for each. With not just 300 staff memberships, we have 6,000 members. The odds are that every decision we do will please all of them or a majority of them. Yes, so they always have the option to come to the board by email or in person and say, I don't like this is a problem, and our job is to address it. There's really no other way around it.
Mm-hmm. And then, okay, thank you for that. And then Emily, in regards to your question of, I don't understand this privacy concern thing. Maybe don't incriminate yourself. Yeah, absolutely. I feel that anything the board says publicly, they should be held accounted for. If you say something stupid that's going to get you in trouble, or possibly in legal trouble, then you should definitely, most definitely be held accountable for it. And if you're going to continue doing that as a board member, getting yourself into legal trouble, maybe, step back and take a look at things before you continue it. But when John and I were talking about it, the main concern as far as privacy was, in the past, various meetings, things such as people, when discussing things like the leg funds, people's addresses, personal phone numbers, things like that, private information that doesn't necessarily need to be, out to the masses, is something that would be up for consideration to not have that, thrown out there. Ashley?
How often do we actually discuss verbally or out loud in a way that would be recorded personal or private information that cannot be shared? If we're sharing addresses and like full names, then why can't we just send an electronic message or have a written note if it's in person? Why do we need to delay the upload? Because this already is happening. Our
Mhm.
bylaws now state that we can have electronic meetings, but it requires use of video. So you're being recorded regardless. So is this needed?
The only times that I can see that it being needed is if we have someone during open session come in that is not aware of this information and goes, "Hey, I don't want this out there, but I would like to have this discussion," and then that I could just trying to think of a random situation that
Why wouldn't that go in a closed session?
I'm not saying it wouldn't. I'm just saying if they start going on about that information before we move it to a closed session, that
I
would
mean,
be something that could
I'm
be
stuck
arranged.
on Troy's point where if it was so important that why aren't we already doing it? What's wrong with the way we're doing it now?
I'm
What
just
information are we discussing that this is a concern?
correct. I'm not trying to rebut it. I'm just trying to think of worst case scenario to the answer or to the question. Troy?
And sort of along those lines, we've said for years and years that the board meetings are open to the public. So if you could come into 107 and hear it, then that's the end of it. Then
Absolutely.
it's the same thing that's going to be recorded. I think I forget the exact verbiage that Dave used, but it's just like we're adding layers of complexity onto something that we really don't have the infrastructure to bear, and as Ashley said, might be a little unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely. Christina, then Dave?
I feel like this proposal was started quite some time ago when there were quite a few other people on the board that were very against being recorded, and that was when we were still in person. So I feel like so many things have changed since this proposal kind of started that this proposal almost isn't really valid anymore. It's I was thinking for some reason, I don't know why, that we were live streaming these but then not hosting the video to be watched again later, but that was wrong. So um but so since they're already up there and they have been since like March, I don't see a need for us to put in a policy. Maybe what we would want to do is once we are back in person again, whenever that happens, then we would need something about recording a live stream on in person. But that is something that we do for the Anime Detour staff meeting. So I don't feel like it would be that difficult to implement for these since we're used to doing it now.
Dave?
Okay, following up on what they said is, you know what? I have absolutely no problem being recorded about everything I say, and I talk a lot. But I just hope we just don't. The second paragraph there's been no help trying to get transparency in Anime Twin Cities. As a former board member from time ago, as Troy said, it's always been open. I mean, it's not untransparent because you don't want to drive to the Waterbury. But that being said, I don't care. Videotape it. I mean, as long as there are people who want to do that, and I don't have to spend a week when I'm supposed to be doing something else editing it because it's a bylaw, I'm fine with it. I don't say things I wouldn't say to everybody. So
yeah. So 3 quick things. One, or two parts to your comment, Dave. Yes, I completely agree. We're there. We're open. Please come. Be in person, virtual, whatever. We try to make it out and as open as possible. But we have had, including John, before he was a board member, when he first came in as just a non-board member, a regular person to come see the meetings. He proposed this because he was not at one point he was not aware. He thought that they were just open to a select number of people, or that it was certain criteria that had to be met to be in attendance, which misunderstandings, clarification, whatever that may be. But also do keep in mind, like I said, the majority of this was written nearly a year ago, and at that point we did. It has been rephrased a number of times to try to cover a lot of bases, because there have been times where people's personal information like that has been discussed during a meeting, Whether that was appropriate or not at that time is behind us, because that's not on recording. That's something we need to keep an eye on. But it has happened, so we just need to make sure it doesn't happen. But as far as keep getting this proposal, while yes, right now we are recording, I do feel personally that this is one of those things that we're doing it. So yes, let's put a policy into place that we keep doing it, because if we go back to personal meetings and it's a new board that decides, we're too lazy, we don't want to record the meetings, then we're down that thing. But if we have a policy in place, then that means that they're gonna, that effort is going to have to be maintained. Ashley?
If you want a policy in place for that, the proposed document we're looking at is not going to cover that. You're adding undue work and additional labor that we currently cannot handle and should not be able to handle. So that entire proposal, I don't think, is appropriate for a policy. I agree we should have a policy moving forward if we go to in-person meetings. This proposal is not that policy, nor do I agree with it, because it's adding requirements that we cannot currently accommodate.
And that's why it was brought up, was so we can see what people think and revise
so
if
if
needed.
we're looking for a policy for when we do return to in-person meetings, then yes, of course. But for right now, I do not think we need to create an entirely new policy or additional work where we need to require a person who's not involved with the board to edit things and several board members to approve that edit. That's just adding work when
That I absolutely agree with.
we don't have the labor for it.
No, that's I absolutely agree with that. That's my as mine and John's original intent was behind this was to just make this available digitally, not just in person.
Right. And for clarification for some of the people watching, because I'm sure some of the people watching don't know, and I don't even fully know the story, is that this whole thing originated because in-person meetings, there were board members at the time that did not want to be recorded and refused to allow cameras into the room and for recordings to be done or live streaming. That's my understanding of what's going on. An important thing to note is that the bylaws do require video usage in the use of electronic meetings. So if we ever have one person attending a meeting electronically, they still have to have their camera on. So there's always going to be some sort of recording, which was not a thing that was occurring before.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely been some significant changes. We hit the chat real quick. Okay, and then yeah, Will, that was actually one of the reasons why that I had also proposed it, is because we've over the years we've had a number of different secretaries that take notes in a number of different formats, and not everything is said. So when we went through and I got a list of all the policies in place, there was a lot of them. We had to go digging through people's personal notes they had taken, consulting people on what was done, because there's in the notes of what people said regarding a policy, there's bits and pieces, but not all the information was there. And with recording, instead of just consulting people, you could just go back and watch the 5-minute segment of that video where it was discussed, decided on, and voted upon. Just as an example. Just because I know one of my first board meetings, I don't remember what what the subject was, but somebody had mentioned that they thought somebody had proposed to enact a policy of some sort, and then somebody chimed in and said, "Hey, I thought we already had that in place." And somebody that had been going to board meetings for quite a long time randomly pulled open their notebook and said, "Oh yeah, I think we did that back in July of 2014," and this was 18, 19-ish, and I'm like, and they just scroll back right to it, and they're like, yep, we did this on this date at this meeting and this time, and I'm like, we got nothing else to back it up. It wasn't in the meeting notes, so we need something.
I think that's more of a performance issue than a procedural issue, but
Yeah,
Hey.
that was what sparked my thought process on getting something more concrete.
Okay. So are we in a general consensus that the proposed policy is not really applicable or helpful in the way that it's currently presenting? And while we do need a policy for when we return to in person, it is not necessarily a good fit now.
Yes.
I think that's consensus.
So
Okay. So we'll hold off on this. I'll talk to John. We'll do some
Should I put this
reworking
one
on it for
January?
Let's go with March.
Okay.
Let's, just because if things stay as they are with the restrictions, I don't see that lifting for a couple of months. So having it for a month from now would not necessarily be the best. Give us some time to go over it, rework it so it is presentable for a time that it is more appropriate, I guess.
Polished up. How about that? How about polishing it up?
Sure.
Good. Well done.
You guys can need any new people, so help work Connor. So yeah, Robert, that would actually be a question for Troy as far as getting any other help for the convention or anything. That would be for Troy, and then Ashley just did post his email there.
Yeah, just briefly, Robert. We could almost always use additional staff. Some departments might be full up or not have need for additional hands. So we have a admin team that can help figure that out. And if we transition into a virtual con this year or for 2021, we'll still have need for staff. It'll be just different needs, moderators and things like that. So short answer is yes. Feel free to shoot us an email and we can try and find a place that you'll enjoy working.
All right. Did any of the other people in the meeting here have anything they wanted to bring up? That's the last thing on the agenda for the night.
just as a last minute update, I got a notice from Kevin that the pull request for the bylaws to be added to the website, the pull request has been added or put in. So whenever that gets approved, it'll be uploaded either. So I'm assuming like tonight or tomorrow. They'll be available on the website under the documents.
Okay. And if anybody would like a copy of it before it is uploaded to the website and updated, just shoot us an email at ATC Board at nma2ncities.org and we can shoot you a copy.
Yes. We have PDFs available, the same one that will be going onto the website.
Yep.
I should actually send that to you guys.
Yes, please. Thank you. So at that point, that's pretty much all that was on the list. So I don't see any new questions in staff or in the YouTube chat. So at this point, I think a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
All right. Thank you all very much for coming tonight.
Don't we have to vote?
Not for an adjournment.
No.
Oh, I don't have that book you showed us a month ago.
I have
Was it
2
called?
copies of that book.
Robert's Rules.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Adjournments are considered consent or a consensus. Something.
Oh, okay.
There's a word. It's not coming through my brain. It's fine.
Okay. So, all right. Our next meeting is calendar. Come to me.
January 12th.
Thank you, Cam. All right. Thank you all very much. You guys have yourself a great evening. Do make sure that if you are here tonight, if you want to be counted in attendance, because these board meetings do count as attendance towards voting rights and other attendance-based issues, please email Christina, our secretary. You can find her email right there in the description of the YouTube video. And then comment that you are here in the chat. And so we're gonna, I'm gonna leave it up for just a couple more minutes, just to let people get those in. Otherwise, we're just gonna kill off the audio and the video. Thank you guys very much, and we will see you next month.
I don't understand, Vivian. Does that mean we're going to have a video or not?